All right, our next presentation, some people call it a bird, some people call it an amazing animal. We'll see what you call it. Let's give it up for the president of your ECS Junior High ASB, the Ostrich, President Clint.
Okay, so Carson, if you would please go to the next slide. So, the ostrich is a very awkward looking bird. It's 6 to 9 feet tall, so even taller than Mr. Myers. The male is black and white, and the female is dark brown and gray. And I will get to why these colors are specifically good. They have 2 toes on each feet, which help them dig into the ground when they are sprinting. They are 250 to 345 pounds, and they're the largest, heaviest, and tallest non-extinct bird. They have 2-inch wide eyes, which are the same size as their brain. That's the biggest eye that any bird has. Their heads are very small. Their bills are short and wide. They have big brown eyes with black lashes. They have a very round body, a long skinny neck, and long skinny legs. They can run up to 40 miles an hour, and when they are at those intense speeds, they can use their wings to turn. Next slide, please. Their scientific name is Struthocumulus. Their phylum is Chordata. Their class is Apes. Their family is the Ratini family, also known as Struthidae. Their order is Struthiformes. The genus is Struthio, and the kingdom is Mammalia. Next slide, please, Carson. Okay, so there are many birds related to the ostrich. So the first one there, here, the Australian emu. So it's very close looking to the ostrich, except it's only about 3 to 6 feet tall. There are 3 breeds of cassowaries related to the ostrich, and there are 2 breeds of rheas related to the ostrich. There's 1 breed of kiwis, which are about this big, related to the ostrich. And then there's the extinct 10-foot to 12-foot tall moa that is related to the ostrich. And they were found in New Zealand, but they are now extinct. Next slide, please. So the distribution. They live in the Sahara regions of Africa. So here and here. But they were also introduced to the lower areas of Africa, and they were introduced to Australia. Habitat and conservation status. So on IUCN Red List, they're of least concern, which most of the birds are. Their population is decreasing though. Their population right now is at 2 million, so it's not a very big concern. And they're decreasing very, very, very slowly. And most of you probably know that ostriches live in the desert, like you can see from these 2 pictures. So, raise their hand and identify if this is male or female. Logan.
I'll go with male.
You are correct, sir. You're going to ace the test. Next slide, please. Okay, this is a slide break inspired by Mr. Martin. Thank you. Next slide. Thank you, Weston. Okay, their reproduction and care. So they become reproductive at 2 to 4 years old. When they're mating, there is 1 rooster and many hens, and the rooster mates with all the hens. But there is 1 main hen. The main hen is the first one to lay its eggs. And the main hen sits on the eggs during the daytime. The ostrich group all lay in the same nest, which is essentially a low depression in the sand. Ostriches can look at the nest and identify which eggs are theirs. This is an egg. Carson, would you point to the bottom picture? That is an ostrich egg. It weighs Next slide. Okay, so the ostrich life. In captivity, they will live 50 years. In the wild, they'll live about 30 to 40. Normally about 35. The males and females live just about the same. They do not migrate. They stay in the savanna region of Africa. They do not hibernate, and they don't undergo cocoa. Next slide, please. Their diet. So ostriches don't have any teeth. So if you see a picture with them having teeth, that's Photoshop because they do not actually have any teeth. So to grind up their food, they keep gravel and sand, and when they're digesting, that grinds their food up. In the wild, they'll eat any plants that they can find. And they'll eat invertebrates, so like turtles and lizards. They're omnivores, so they eat both meat and plants. And in captivity, they'll eat pellets, dry leaves, and fruit. And it's actually a fact that not many people know that ostriches don't drink water. They get all the water they need from the plants that they eat, as long as the plants are green. Next slide, please. The predator-prey relationships. So their predators are lions, leopards, and hyenas. The prey they have are invertebrates and plants. If you count plants as a prey. So ostriches have many means of keeping their predators away. So males at night will make a low rumbling sound that I actually listen to that sounds like a lion. Females will pretend to be hurt to lure away predators from a nest or a nest of eggs. Will pretend to be hurt and lure the predator away. They can run 40 miles an hour, so when they don't have any eggs that they need to guard, they can just sprint faster than any of their predators, except the cheetah. The cheetah can run 60 miles an hour. They also have one of the deadliest kicks in the world. So they find lions all the time lying in the savannah with their heads broken because the ostriches accidentally kicked them. They have long necks, keen hearing, and very, very, very good eyesight to detect predators. Next slide. Human relations. Humans hunt and farm this bird for its feathers and very, very expensive leather that they make like belts and shoes with. The bird can be used for riding, but they tire very, very quickly. And they're hard to ride, and they don't train very easily. Their meat's cooked like beef and tastes like beef, most people say. And there's even an ostrich parade in Arizona. Some people, like Chris Bosch, are eating ostriches. Next slide, please. Okay, so fun facts. There are 2 million ostriches in the whole world. They're diurnal, so they're active during the day. And most people think that ostriches stick their heads in the ground when they get nervous or sad or they see a predator coming. But Disney and all those companies have lied to you. They do not put their heads in the sand. They simply lay their heads near the sand, which appears to be in the sand from a distance. And they were inspirational in the thought, religion, and in the time period of ancient Egypt and Mesopotamia. Next slide. And that is it. So thank you.
Questions.
Thank you, sir. Weston?
I don't know. I didn't have a question. I was just stretching, but
Okay.
Can you go back to your slide on distribution? So, why were they introduced to Lower Africa and Australia?
So it actually doesn't say why. To Australia, I think that was partly to raise them in farms because they have lots of farms down in Australia. The main places they farm them is in Australia and then in kind of northern United States. those are the reasons. I do not know why they introduced it to South Africa, but they did introduce
They were
it.
never native to South Africa?
No, they were native because the Savannah region ends right here, so they were never explored down there, but somebody must have introduced them to down there, because now they live there. Any more questions?
Weston.
Weston.
Okay. So are they kind of like the chickens, where the chickens can fly a little bit? They like
They can't fly because their breastbone isn't strong enough. On all birds, they have a really strong breastbone. They do have hollow bones like all the other birds do, but their wings are really like tattered, if you know what I mean. Like they're not held together like a hummingbird or an eagle, so they can't fly.
What was that moa bird?
Oh, the moa?
Is that actually real or is it just
Yeah,
like a-
they've found fossils of it. It's 10 feet tall, so this is like, I think, a 5-foot tall guy. So they're like 10 to 12 feet tall, and they were only in New Zealand, and they're extinct now. But yeah, it's an actual bird.
Oh,
Weston.
sorry, I was asking if that was like a recent picture, but it says statue and picture on this slide.
Yeah, statue.
Yeah, and I'm gonna miss this because I got a phone call. Did you go over parental care? Who cares for the?
Yeah, I did. Who cares? Yeah, right here.
So is it the male or the
So
female?
the female cares for the hens at day, that's what I said, because they're brown and gray, so they blend in with the daytime leaves and all the sun and everything. And then at night the male takes over. And there's only one nest for, there could be 20 hens in one nest. So the male takes over the nest at night, and then he guards it through the night. And so, yeah.
All right, any other questions?